What if you're still deeply attractive, even if no one says it out loud? What if the beauty you carry now isn't gone? It's simply changed form? There's a moment in many women's lives, usually somewhere after 60, when the compliments grow quiet. When fewer people seem to notice you as you walk into a room. When the world, so obsessed with youth, seems to look right through you. And it can be easy to wonder, did my beauty fade? Did I stop being attractive somewhere along the way? Am I invisible now? But here's the truth. No one says loud enough. You are still seen. You are still felt. And you are still very much attractive, just in ways the world doesn't always know how to name. Because attraction in your later years isn't loud. It's not about flawless skin, tight curves, or fitting into trends made for someone half your age. It's about presence, energy, depth. It's about a kind of quiet confidence that turns heads, not with noise but with gravity. You've lived, you've endured, you've built yourself from the inside out. And all of that shows, even if no one says it with words. In this video, we'll uncover 7 subtle but powerful signs that you're still a deeply attractive woman, especially now, in this season of life. Signs that others notice, even if they don't always say so. Signs that don't come from chasing approval, but from living with truth and strength. And if you've ever doubted whether your beauty still matters, if you've wondered whether anyone sees you anymore, if you've felt that strange ache of being present, but not quite visible, then this video is for you, because you deserve to know what your presence still carries. You deserve to see what others often feel, even when they can't find the words. And you deserve to reclaim your place in the world, not as someone waiting to be noticed, but as someone who already shines quietly, powerfully, and fully. And if this message speaks to something inside you, if it touches a place you've kept quiet for too long, subscribe. This space is here to remind you that your beauty didn't disappear with time. It evolved, and it's more radiant than ever. Let's begin. Sign 1. You carry yourself with calm confidence. You don't need to walk into a room with loud colors, high heels, or bold declarations to be noticed. Sometimes, the most attractive woman in the room is the one who carries herself with calm confidence, the kind that doesn't beg for attention, but naturally draws it. You can see it in her posture, the way she stands tall without trying too hard, the way she moves, slow, steady, grounded. Her gestures are thoughtful, her steps are purposeful. And even when she says nothing at all, people take notice. This is not about arrogance. It's not about dominance. It's about presence. A woman who knows herself doesn't need to perform. She doesn't fidget, shrink, or apologize for taking up space. She owns her space. Gently, fully. That kind of confidence doesn't happen overnight. It's earned. It's built over years of heartbreak, healing, reinvention, and choosing to stand back up when life knocked you down. It's the confidence of a woman who knows she has nothing to prove. She's not chasing approval. She's not trying to keep up with trends. She's not adjusting herself to make others comfortable. And because of that, she radiates a quiet strength that is undeniably attractive. People may not always know why they're drawn to her. They just feel something solid, something safe, something magnetic. She's not loud, but she lingers in memory. If you've ever been in a room where people naturally turn to you for direction, where strangers feel at ease in your presence, where someone says, "You have such a calming energy," that's not accidental. That's the power of calm confidence. It doesn't fade with age. It grows stronger, more grounded, and more irresistible with every year. And even if no one says it directly, they see it. They feel it. And yes, they're drawn to it. Sign 2. You make others feel seen and safe. There's a kind of beauty that doesn't come from your face, your clothes, or your age. It comes from the way you make others feel in your presence. One of the most quietly attractive qualities in an older woman is this. She makes others feel seen, safe, understood. You've lived enough life to know how to listen, really listen. Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly hearing what someone is saying beneath their words. You ask thoughtful questions. You remember details. You don't rush people to their point. And because of that, people feel held around you. You've become someone others trust without even knowing why. They exhale around you. They soften. Because you don't judge. You don't compete. You simply bring presence, warmth, and the quiet wisdom that says, you don't have to prove anything to me. I see you. And that's deeply attractive. There's nothing desperate in your energy. You don't need to dominate the conversation. You don't try to impress. You offer your attention like a gift. Steady, generous, real. That kind of emotional safety is rare. And people are drawn to it, even if they don't always say so. They may not compliment your appearance, but they'll lean in. They'll confide in you. They'll linger a little longer in your presence. This is the kind of attraction that grows from character, from empathy, from the strength it takes to hold space for others, without losing yourself in the process. And here's the beauty of it. You've probably done this your whole life. For children, friends, partners, co-workers. And now, it radiates from you like a quiet glow, not loud, not flashy, but unforgettable. If people open up around you, if they say, I don't know why I'm telling you this, if you've ever made someone feel calmer just by being there, that's not coincidence. That's one of the clearest signs you are still deeply, undeniably attractive. Sign 3. Your style reflects substance, not just trends. You've probably heard the phrase, she has style. But real style, especially after 60 or 70, has nothing to do with trends or designer labels. It's not about trying to look young. It's about knowing who you are and dressing accordingly. That's the kind of style that turns heads quietly. It reflects substance. It tells a story. It says, I know myself. And this is how I choose to move through the world. You've stopped chasing what's popular. You've learned what colors feel like you, what fabrics move well with your body, what details make you feel elegant, not uncomfortable. Your jewelry, your scarves, your shoes, they all say something subtle but powerful. Not, look at me, but I'm here, I'm complete, I've lived, and I love who I've become. That's attractive. Because there's nothing more magnetic than a woman whose outer expression reflects her inner truth. When your style feels authentic, not forced, it invites admiration, whether spoken or silent. And the impact isn't just visual. When you dress in a way that honors your wisdom, your personality, your experience, you stand differently. You walk with more ease. You feel more present. You radiate something that others recognize, even if they can't quite explain it. And people do notice. They notice the graceful way you tie a scarf, the confidence in how you wear your hair, the simplicity of your accessories, the way your clothes complement your presence rather than compete with it. Style isn't about attention, it's about alignment. And when your outer self aligns with your inner self, you become undeniably attractive. Not because you're trying to look younger, but because you're honoring who you are now, without apology. That level of self-expression is rare, and it's beautiful. So if you found yourself no longer needing to impress, if you dress with care, not pressure, if your clothing feels like an extension of your personality, your softness, your strength, that's a sign. You are not just stylish. You are attractive in a way that comes from deep within. Sign 4. You speak with grace and strength. There's something profoundly attractive about a woman who knows how to speak, not just with words, but with grace. It's not about volume or being the loudest voice in the room. It's about how you speak, the tone you choose, the way your words land, firm but never harsh, clear but never cold, confident but always respectful. By the time you reach your 60s or 70s, you've likely learned this art the hard way. You've said too much. You've said too little. You've spoken from pain, from love, from wisdom, from silence. And somewhere along the way, you found your voice, your true voice. And now, when you speak, people lean in. Because you don't waste words. Because you don't use your voice to dominate, but to connect. You speak with kindness, but not weakness. You can disagree without tearing someone down. You can express truth without drama. That balance, grace, and strength is magnetic. It creates safety. It creates trust. It creates admiration. People may not always say, "Wow, she's beautiful," but they'll say, "I love the way she explains things," or "She always knows what to say," or "She just has this presence." That's beauty. That's attraction. That's the mark of a woman whose words are shaped by a lifetime of living. And sometimes it's not even what you say. It's how you listen, how you pause before answering, how you stay calm while others react, how your silence can say more than someone else's shouting. When a woman speaks from a place of grounded truth, when her voice isn't trying to be liked but to be real, that's powerful. That's beautiful. That's a sign of true attraction, the kind that doesn't fade with age. So if people trust your words, if they seek your insight, if your voice brings calm, clarity, or conviction, that's not just communication. That's charisma. And it's one of the most timeless signs that your presence still draws people in. Sign 5. You laugh easily, but never desperately. There's something irresistibly attractive about a woman who knows how to laugh, genuinely, softly, without trying to prove anything. After a certain age, laughter becomes more than just a reaction. It becomes a sign of strength, of presence, of having lived through enough to know what matters and what doesn't. You've cried hard, you've held pain, you've experienced grief, disappointment, and moments of deep stillness. And still, here you are, able to smile, able to chuckle at the small things, able to find joy even in imperfection. That kind of laughter isn't desperate for attention. It isn't loud to be noticed. It's grounded. It comes from a woman who's comfortable in her own skin, a woman who doesn't laugh to fill space or to be liked, but because she truly sees the humor in life, and that ease, that joy, that quiet sense of play, it's beautiful. It's magnetic. It reminds people that wisdom and lightness can live in the same body. When you laugh now, it carries layers. It says, "I've lived through storms, and I still choose joy." It says, "I know life is serious, but I also know it's okay to breathe." It says, "You're safe to relax around me. Nothing needs to be perfect." That kind of energy is rare. It's calming, inviting, and yes, it's incredibly attractive. People don't always know what draws them to you. But often, it's the way you can hold both wisdom and warmth. The way your smile feels like sunlight, not spotlight. The way your laughter makes others feel lighter too. If people smile when you smile, if they say, "You have the most comforting laugh," or if you can ease a tense room with one soft chuckle, that's not small, that's a gift. And it's one of the most underrated signs that your beauty not only still exists, but shines brighter now than ever before. Sign 6. You radiate peace, even in silence. There's a kind of presence that doesn't need to speak to be felt. You walk into a room, and without saying a word, people feel it. Calm, steadiness, peace. That is one of the most powerful signs of attractiveness in a mature woman. She radiates peace, even in silence. This isn't about being passive. It's not about staying quiet because you're unsure. It's about a woman who's made peace with herself. She doesn't rush to prove. She doesn't need to dominate. She doesn't react to every opinion or noise. She simply is. And in her stillness, others find comfort. This kind of energy only comes with time. It's born from knowing who you are, forgiving what you had to, releasing what no longer serves you. It's the result of thousands of days spent learning, unlearning, healing, and choosing your inner world over outside approval. And people feel it. They may not say, "You're beautiful," but they'll say, "I feel so calm around you," or "You have such a peaceful energy," or "You make everything feel okay." Peace is attractive because it's rare, especially in a world full of noise, comparison, and anxiety. When someone walks with ease, listens without interrupting, responds without rushing, they create space for others to breathe. And that is magnetic. You don't need dramatic gestures to be seen. Your silence, when grounded in love and clarity, speaks louder than words. So, if you've been told you have a calming presence, if people seem to open up around you without prompting, if you feel more drawn to stillness than to chaos, that's not a withdrawal from life. That's an evolution. And it's one of the deepest, most beautiful signs that your energy still touches others in ways they may not fully understand, but absolutely feel. Sign 7. You know your worth without needing validation. There is nothing more attractive than a woman who knows her worth and doesn't wait for anyone else to confirm it. Not in the mirror, not in a compliment, not in someone's reaction. She simply knows. She's lived long enough to stop depending on praise to feel beautiful. She's walked through silence, through rejection, through the ache of being unseen. And still, she stands. Still, she shows up. Still, she chooses herself. This kind of inner knowing doesn't look like arrogance. It looks like ease. Like being in your own skin without apology. Like no longer asking, "Am I enough?" Because you already know the answer. When you know your worth, it changes how you move. You don't chase. You don't settle. You don't compare. You just are, fully, clearly, and completely. And others feel that. They're drawn to it. They may not always say, "You're beautiful," but they treat you with respect. Or they keep their distance, because they sense that you can't be manipulated, that you're not looking for permission, that your beauty no longer depends on their approval. That's power. That's beauty. That's the kind of attraction that doesn't fade with time. It grows. You've likely spent parts of your life doubting, shrinking, second-guessing. But if you've now reached a place where your peace is more important than pleasing everyone, where your reflection doesn't determine your value, where your presence is rooted in experience and your silence is full of strength, then that's a sign. You are an attractive woman, because you know who you are, and you don't need to be told to believe it. That knowing, that steadiness, it's rare, it's radiant, and it's beautiful beyond words. So here's the truth, clear, simple, and powerful. You are more beautiful than you realize, not in spite of your age, not as a leftover from youth, but because of who you've become. Your calm confidence, your ability to make others feel safe, your style that reflects substance, your voice that speaks with grace and strength, your easy, grounded laughter, your peaceful presence, and your quiet, unwavering sense of worth. All of it adds up to a kind of beauty the world isn't always taught to name. But it's there. It's real. And it's deeply felt by those around you. Even if the compliments have grown quiet, even if fewer people say the words out loud, you are still seen, still remembered, still admired. Attraction doesn't always look the same as it did in your 20s. It becomes something richer, deeper. It becomes less about being desired, and more about being respected, remembered, and quietly loved. So if you ever wonder whether your beauty still matters, if you ever feel invisible in a world that idolizes youth, remember this. You don't need to be noticed to be radiant. You don't need to be praised to be powerful. And you don't need to be told you're beautiful to already know that you are. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, if it reminded you of the power you still carry, share it with another woman who needs to hear the same. And if you want more reflections like this, truthful, respectful, and grounded in the deeper wisdom of aging, subscribe. This space is for you, not to change who you are, but to remind you of everything you've already become. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, walk with the quiet knowledge that yes, you are still beautiful, and that beauty doesn't fade, it deepens.